Dear NHL, I am still talking to you. This is part 3 of 4 YouTube videos I'm making, asking for changes before the next regular season even rolls around. I've already discussed where this is coming from. A good place, a caring place, a loving place. I only want this sport and this league to continue to grow across North America, specifically in the United States. I want people to understand the game. I also want to keep the players safer out there on the ice. In part 1, I talked about headshots, how to figure that out. In part 2, I talked about goalie interference and trying to eliminate the frustrations of not exactly knowing what the rules are or when they are set to be enforced. But this time around, I'm here to discuss figuring out video replay and review. I should set the scene, by the way. Every professional sport deals with this identical problem right now because gameplay in the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NHL, it's faster than ever. We have better technologies than ever in terms of cameras with long lenses and slow motion replay. We can see things now better than we ever have been able to before. And in fact, a lot of times, you have the very best view of all of this on your couch at home as opposed to somebody who actually paid for the ticket and is at the game. Granted, you don't get the same fan experience of being there, but in terms of seeing things clearly, a lot of times, TV gives you the best perspective. But the underlying question here is, you have the technology right now to see better than ever, better than the human eye, better than an official's eye, can actually see it on the field of play, or in this case, out there on a hockey rink. Do you want to use that technology regularly? Or do you like the fact that there is a human element? And that's how the game was played for a lot of decades. The errors and the things that officials got right simultaneously. There's a bit of both. Do you want to still live with that? Or do you want to try and get everything right via the use of technology? More on that in just a second. Should we use it or should we not? But the question is, if you're already using it, I'll start with this. Shouldn't every goal be reviewed? And I'm saying even when it looks completely obvious, just have somebody in Toronto, quick scrub on the replay machine, go back to it, all the angles you need to see, just confirm, look for anything fishy. And I'm not even saying this should take more than 20 to 30 seconds. We replay the goal on television already as it is. I'm only asking that somebody in Toronto does that to start the conversation. If they see something, hit a button. Let's say it's the Sharks playing somebody else at SAP Center. That button goes to a game official in San Jose. They turn a red light on. They tell everybody to stop. Toronto's got an issue. They want to look at this. So take the onus away from people at the game, the coaching staff, the video coaches. There should be somebody in Toronto who sees anything suspicious and stops the game and gets right to looking at it right away. Speaking of that replay official in Toronto, why does it seem like a lot of times it's a nameless, faceless person, right? That person would have so much impact on a game's outcome and decisions to be made. And we obviously know who the linesmen are. We know who the referees are on a given night. They're out there on the ice to be booed if need be, or not cheered, but appreciated as well. So why do we make it that nobody really knows who's making ultimate decisions in Toronto? I think that also should change. And it's not like we're going to go on a witch hunt after anybody, but you just want somebody out there to have ownership of your game. Despite the fact that it's from a distance, this person, and likely it would be a former NHL official, this person is who you are supposed to be in safe hands with for that given game. So I mentioned goals being reviewed, and there are some other things that can be looked at, some things that cannot be looked at. We certainly know the recency of a hand pass, but I digress. The main issue, the main question I'm asking here is, should everything be looked at? Should only goals be looked at? Or should nothing be looked at? And I can't believe I'm saying this here, but I'm about to quote a very intellectual Brad Marchand and what he recently said about all of this. He said, quote, "Get rid of video reviews. That's the problem. When you start bringing in all the video reviews, the refs are getting crucified. They're out there to do a job. Start taking it away from them little by little. then it's going to escalate. Now they're going to want video reviews for pucks hitting the net or hand passes. So how much are you going to take away from the refs? The only way to do it is to do all of it with video review or none of it. On that note, of those two ways, Marchand was asked, well, which way do you prefer? He said, quote, "I don't care either way. Just pick one. We are in between right now." End quote. And that brings me to the commissioner, Gary Bettman, who of course had his annual press conference at the start of the Stanley Cup Final. You know he was asked about video replay and review and the controversy and the cloudiness that surrounds it right now. His response was that the elimination of video review is actually something that NHL general managers had already got together and discussed, but it definitely did not look like it was on the future agenda for elimination. Here's his quote, "I don't think you can go backwards anymore. I think that ship has sailed." The commissioner went on to say that the NHL is actually concerned with adding too much review that could also extend the length of its games. So less about getting something right, getting something wrong, but having too much video review obviously extends the length of a game. And right now you're working on average between about 2 hours and 35 minutes and 2 hours and 45 minutes. That does seem like kind of a sweet spot. So in just closing this out, all of it brings me to really a threefold dilemma here. On one hand, do I want to see the accuracy of NHL rulings on the ice? Do I want to see video evidence be used as much as possible in the proper way to basically get things right? Of course I do. The video doesn't lie, especially in a day and age like 2019 where we're sharing it all on social media. If you have the evidence and you want to get something right, use the evidence to that advantage. On the other hand, man, I grew up watching sports when, there were just flat out bad calls. And people also talked about that. That was an unfortunate storyline, but it was just part of being a fan of a sport and a league and a team or maybe a player. Bad calls sometimes go against you. And sometimes you're the benefit of bad calls. It goes both ways. So I see both sides of that, but the biggest one out of all of this, I don't want game times to extend, like what Commissioner Gary Bettman was talking about there. The NHL has something special right now in that all of its games, even with 2 intermissions, still end up around the 2 hour and 30 to 2 hour and 40 something minute mark. That is a very special thing in these times where everybody's busy. The attention is harder to grasp of young people, I think, let's face it. So lengthening games would be the very worst thing. As much as I want to see us get stuff right, you can only do it under one context. Get it right, but do it fast. So again, NHL, please just figure out what you want to do with video review. It's kind of like right now you've got one foot in the pool and the other foot out of it. Either grab your towel, go grab a chair and sit down, or go to the diving board and jump in head first.